What would you do if you discovered that your family was once among the richest in the land? What if the poverty you suffered was not because your parents were lazy, but because they refused to pay a terrible price? And how far would you go to escape a life of hardship if wealth was waiting for you on the other side of a dangerous choice? Some secrets sleep beneath the dust of time. Some stories are buried so deeply that they seem forgotten forever. But no matter how long the truth remains hidden, one day it always finds a way to return. This is the story of a young man who chased the wealth of his ancestors, only to discover that some treasures come with a cost too great for any human heart to bear. Before we begin, please like, share, follow, and subscribe to Elvis the Great Stories for more powerful, emotional, and unforgettable stories. Your support helps us bring you more inspiring stories filled with lessons that can change lives. In a small village surrounded by thick forest and winding rivers lived a young man named Chinedu. He was born into poverty. His father, Emmanuel, worked long hours as a carpenter, while his mother sold vegetables in the local market. Despite their hard work, life was never easy. Many nights, the family slept hungry. Their small house leaked whenever it rained. Chinedu often watched other children go to school with new clothes while he wore the same faded uniform year after year. Yet Emmanuel remained a man of faith. Whenever Chinedu complained about their suffering, his father would gently say, "My son, it is better to have peace in your heart than riches that steal your soul." But Chinedu never understood those words. As he grew older, he became frustrated with poverty. He watched wealthy men drive expensive cars through the village while his family struggled to buy food. One afternoon, after a particularly difficult day, Chinedu sat beneath a large mango tree near the village square. That was when an elderly man stepped out of a black luxury vehicle. The man looked at Chinedu carefully. Then he asked softly, "Are you Emmanuel's son?" "Yes," Chinedu replied. The old man's eyes filled with emotion. "Then you deserve to know the truth about your family." That conversation changed everything. The man introduced himself as Chief Okafor, a longtime friend of Chinedu's grandfather. He revealed a secret that had been hidden for decades. Chinedu's grandfather, Chief Nnamdi, had once been one of the wealthiest and most influential men in the country. He owned businesses, lands, and properties beyond imagination. People traveled from far and wide just to seek his favor. But according to the stories whispered among elders, Chief Nnamdi's wealth was tied to a dark spiritual covenant that demanded terrible sacrifices and complete loyalty. When Nnamdi died, the responsibility for maintaining that covenant was supposed to pass to his son, Emmanuel. But Emmanuel refused. He chose his faith and his conscience over wealth. After his refusal, the family's fortune disappeared. Businesses collapsed. Properties were lost. Friends abandoned them. Within a few years, the family that once possessed unimaginable wealth became poor. As Chief Okafor finished the story, Chinedu felt anger rising inside him. For years he had suffered. For years he had watched his family struggle. And now he believed he knew why. That night, he confronted his father. Emmanuel listened quietly. When Chinedu finished speaking, his father looked at him with sadness. "My son," he said, "some roads appear golden from a distance, but they lead into darkness. I lost wealth, but I kept my peace. Never chase what destroyed your grandfather." But Chinedu's heart had already changed. He could not stop thinking about the life that could have been his. Weeks later, he sought out Chief Okafor again. The old billionaire warned him repeatedly. Yet Chinedu insisted. Soon he was introduced to individuals who claimed they could reconnect him with the hidden legacy of his grandfather. And then he was taken to the aquatic temple where he was initiated into the brotherhood, and he took his grandfather's place. At first, nothing happened. Then suddenly opportunities began appearing. Business deals succeeded. Investments multiplied. Properties were acquired. Within a few years, Chinedu became one of the richest men in the nation. The poor village boy was gone. Private jets, luxury homes, expensive cars, and influence followed him everywhere. People celebrated him. Newspapers wrote about him. Politicians sought his friendship. But inside his family, there was silence. His father refused to touch his wealth. His mother prayed constantly for him. Many relatives kept their distance. Deep inside, they feared the source of his sudden success. Eventually, Chinedu married a beautiful woman named Ada. For a while, life seemed perfect. Then strange troubles began. Their first child became seriously ill and passed away despite every effort to save the child. The family was heartbroken. Years later, another child faced a similar tragedy. Pain entered their home again. As these losses mounted, Chinedu began connecting them to the warnings he had ignored. Each time he looked into his wife's tear-filled eyes, guilt pierced his heart. The wealth around him no longer brought joy. His mansion felt empty. His expensive cars felt meaningless. His nights became restless. The same success he had once celebrated now felt like a heavy burden. Then Ada gave birth to another child, a little boy. When Chinedu held him in his arms, something changed. For the first time in years, he felt genuine peace. He looked at the innocent child and remembered his father's words. It is better to have peace in your heart than riches that steal your soul. That night, Chinedu drove to his childhood home. His father opened the door. Without saying a word, Chinedu fell to his knees. Tears streamed down his face. "Father," he whispered, "you were right." The old carpenter lifted his son and embraced him. For the first time in many years, Chinedu felt free. He made a decision. He would walk away from the path that had consumed his grandfather and haunted his own life. He would protect his remaining child. He would choose family over fortune. In the years that followed, much of his wealth disappeared. The influence faded. The crowds vanished. The powerful people who once surrounded him moved on. But something greater remained. His wife stayed. His child survived. His family slowly reunited. And although he no longer possessed the riches he once enjoyed, he finally discovered something far more valuable. Peace, love, and a clear conscience. Years later, as Chinedu sat beneath the same mango tree where he had first learned the truth, he watched his son run across the field laughing. A smile appeared on his face. At last, he understood what his father had known all along. Some things are worth more than money. Some victories cannot be measured by wealth. And some legacies are better left behind. But tell me, what is the value of a fortune if it costs you the people you love? What is the purpose of power if it leaves your heart empty? And if you stood where Chinedu once stood, would you choose temporary riches or lasting peace? Remember this powerful truth: not every opportunity is a blessing, and not every fortune is worth pursuing. The greatest wealth a person can possess is a peaceful heart, a loving family, and the freedom to sleep at night without fear or regret.